Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. No, Karen, your kid cannot have my asthma medication. After that, crazy entitled mother tries to justify stolen gifts. And after that, never assume what languages a person can or cannot speak. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen locks her keys in the car. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. No, Karen, your kid cannot have my asthma medication. Cast. We've got me, we've got Karen, and Hero Bus Driver. I am a 34-year-old Dutch guy without a driver's license. It sucks, but Dutch public transport kinda rocks. So for almost 2 years now, I've been using it to get to my job, and in those 2 years, I have never really had a bad experience that doesn't involve a late bus and rain. Until today, that is. Because of what's going on, bus schedules have been adjusted to once or twice per hour. It is far from ideal, but I understand why. Kids are not going to school, so the bus company would lose money letting empty buses drive. But when it came to the schedule, I drew the short straw. Because if I want to go by bus from home to my work, I would be traveling 90 minutes instead of 40, and I would arrive at work 30 minutes earlier than normal. To me, this is not an option, so I decided to cycle to work halfway. That way, I cut 30 minutes out of the trip and I get to work at my normal time. The one problem today is that I am asthmatic and it was quite windy out this morning. So I get to the bus station this morning already struggling to breathe. I quickly lock my bike and walk towards the terminal, focusing on my breathing. 5 minutes later, the bus arrives. I greet the driver and sit down. A minute later, our Karen of the story enters the bus. She takes a seat on the row next to mine, and a few minutes later, the bus driver starts the bus and off we go. I still feel like I'm struggling for breath, and while coughing, I quickly get my inhaler and chamber out, assemble it, and start using it as I struggle to breathe. It instantly works, and I feel precious oxygen enter my lungs. This piques Karen's attention. "What are you doing?" she asks. "Taking my medication. I have asthma, and with this weather, it was quite a struggle getting here," I replied. "Does it help with breathing?" she asks, and I nod my head. "Well..." Yes, she extended the E. "I have kids at home, and if they get sick, I want them to be able to breathe. So give me that inhaler. You can get a new one." And she holds out her hand. Oh boy. "Not going to happen, lady," I said in my most dry and mocking tone. "I need these meds." "I don't care. Give it here," she says as she thrusts out her hand again. "My kids need it more." I tell her no and put my medication in my backpack and try to put on my headset. This is where Karen goes full entitled parent and grabs my backpack and starts going through it. Luckily, the Hero bus driver was paying attention and we all lurch forward as he hits the brakes. He stops the bus, stands up, and in his best drill instructor voice says, "Lady, give the man his backpack back now." There was absolutely no doubt of the authority in his voice, and the lady turns tomato red as she hands back the backpack. I thought that was it. Oh boy, I was wrong. I'm not going to type this in caps, but our hero yelled every word. "Why on earth would you think that someone's asthma medication would help against the sickness? You are gross, lady. Get off the bus. Now." The lady looks like a deer in the headlights, but doesn't move. "Get off now," he yells again. Finally, the lady got up and out of the bus. I thanked our Hero bus driver as he sits back down and we get on our way again. As the bus drives off, I saw the lady on her phone. No assault, police, destruction of property, so it could have been much worse. Still, I wish I could tell this to Karen. Too bad we weren't out of the city yet, you disgusting jerk. Crazy entitled mother tries to justify stolen gifts. This happened about 6 months ago when I was home from college. One of my favorite things to do in the city I live in is to visit the aquarium, where I can spend all day. The jellyfish are my favorites, but that's besides the point. At the end of my trip, I text our group chat and ask if anyone's wanting anything from the gift shop, which they did. My total was around $80, which I didn't mind spending on gifts. I put them all into the bag I brought with me that day and set off for the train station to get back home. Before I got to my line, I decided I'd stop in this little mall-type area in the city, which led to a train station, so it wasn't too far out of the way. I meander for a bit, looking at the shops and restaurants before eventually settling for a blizzard. It was that one with lots of chocolate fudge bits in it. I can't remember the name. And set my stuff down beside me. I like to listen to music and watch videos while I sit and eat, so I had my headphones on and the volume pretty loud. So as I'm eating my delicious treat, some little brat comes walking past and grabs my bag from the ground. I was in a tall seat and the bag was on the ground with my back to it, so I'll admit that much was my fault. But here is where it gets interesting. So I finish eating and go to grab my stuff, realizing it's gone. So I check every place I stopped, the bathroom, different shops, and all the food spots I visited, even if it was to just look at a menu. No sign of my bag. So I start to panic. What am I going to tell my friends? I don't want to disappoint them after promising treasures from the big city. Just as I was about to give up, I spot it, next to the aforementioned Brad, eating with his family. So I go over to them and the interaction goes like this. Me: "Excuse me, but that bag down there is mine. Thanks for finding it." Mom: "Excuse me? That is my son's bag. Leave it alone and stop trying to take it." Kid: "Yeah, back off, jerk. It's mine." Already some bad parenting has shown itself. I don't mind cussing, but this kid was like 12 or 13 and shouldn't be insulting strangers. Me: "Well, no, that's my bag and I know it is. It's got all my stuff in it." Mom: "I'm going to tell you one more time to leave us alone and stop harassing my son, or I'll call the police." Great, it's gonna be like this, I thought to myself. Me to the mom: "You don't have to do that, ma'am. I'll take care of that." And wave over a cop who had been watching the ordeal, probably in case it got violent for some reason. I'm a rather larger guy with an angry resting face, so I understand. I should mention that her husband stayed quiet the whole time, probably not wanting a part in his wife's mess. Cop: "What seems to be the issue here?" Before I could explain, the mom pipes up: "Hi, yes, this man is threatening us because he thinks my son's bag is his, but I'm pretty sure he's just trying to steal it." Kinda strange that I'd be the one to call over the cop, but whatever, lady. Cop to me: "Is that true?" he said with a bit of a sigh. This probably wasn't his first encounter like this. Me: "No, it's actually the opposite. This kid stole my bag, and now his mom is trying to defend him. I doubt he even knows what's in the bag. I was about to ask them to tell me, but now that you're here, officer, maybe you can act as a mediator." Cop: "All right, sure." So I hand him the bag and ask him to look around in it. After he does that, I ask the kid to go first. He doesn't get a single thing right other than my charger. Cop: "Huh, interesting. Sir, I guess it's your turn." I smile, then I list off all the items I bought along with their price. The receipt was still in there, and I had just bought them, so I was able to remember them accurately. Cop: "Well, sir, it looks like you were right. If you don't mind, I'd like to chat with these folks." By now, I could see beads of sweat on the kid's head, and the mother was getting furious. Then I turned to the kid. Me: "Maybe don't steal other people's stuff next time, jerk." The mother was red in the face from anger, and the kid was on the verge of tears, cause now he had a cop getting ready to lecture him, and his parents will probably ground him until he's 40. But I don't give a darn. He stole my stuff. Anyways, that's my story. Wish people did something to correct their little klepto's behavior rather than try to defend them, because not everyone will take crap from an angry mom. Never assume what languages a person can or cannot speak. So this is an old story for me. Happened back in 08 when I was a stock person at a big box all-purpose store, including a grocery section. I had a working knowledge of where pretty much everything was in the store because I was all over the place, but the grocery department had its own stock team specifically, so I wasn't as knowledgeable there. Now, two things to note here. I am of Lebanese descent, and I was working in South Florida at the time. For those that don't know, South Florida has a significant Cuban population, but not so much Middle Eastern folks. I got confused for Cuban all the time because I had darker skin tone, similar to a lot of Cuban folks. I also speak fluent English, Arabic, and French, but I was born and raised in the Midwest, so my accent gives no indication that I might be of Middle Eastern heritage. On this fine afternoon, I was wheeling back an empty tub back to the stockroom after having emptied out one department over. Walking through the main aisle next to grocery, I hear an "Excuse me." Not rude, but definitely not polite either. I turn to find the Arab equivalent of a Karen. Let's call her Khadija. Khadija is a 30-something looking woman wearing yoga pants and a tight shirt and a really fancy hijab and jewelry. Because that makes sense, standing with her husband. I grew up in a predominantly Lebanese community in Southeast Michigan, so I definitely know the type. The conversation goes as follows. Me. How can I help you, miss? Khadija. I'm looking for a specific item, but I can't find it. Me. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not as familiar with the grocery section, so I'm not sure where that is. Let me grab one of my colleagues for you. One moment. I could see one of the other customer service guys in the grocery section, so I radioed him to come over and help her out. Me. He'll be with you shortly, miss. Khadija. Thank you, but I'm in a hurry. I thought you worked here and knew your store. Me. I'm sorry, miss. I don't really work in this section. Colleague is coming right down the aisle now. Khadija to her husband in Arabic. They always get these stupid kids to work in these places, but they don't know how to do their job. This jerk doesn't know his head from his butt. The husband gave Khadija a look, probably because he saw my expression turn from my customer service smile to a frown. I had an internal debate about what to do next, when her husband spoke. Husband in Arabic. Stop talking. I think he understood what you said. Khadija in Arabic. Of course he didn't. He's an idiot. He doesn't know his hands from his feet. It's an Arabic idiom. Doesn't translate the best. Me in Arabic. Actually, I understood every word you said. I don't appreciate being called fat and stupid. An older lady like you should know better than to insult people trying to help you. Worse, you wear your hijab like a hypocrite, pretending to be devout, yet you abuse your perceived social lessers. You should have some respect for yourself. Khadija looked like she had been hit by a truck. Her olive skin turned ghost white, and she sputtered at me. You speak Arabic? Me in Arabic. Obviously I do. Maybe next time you'll think before you insult people who help you when you think they can't understand. Khadija grabbed her husband's arm and dragged him out of the store, completely mortified. I could hear her husband yelling at her in Arabic that he warned her not to be a jerk all the time, especially when she doesn't know who understands her. I wasn't personally that offended, but I won't deny it was satisfying to scare some sense into her. A very wholesome I don't work here story. After frustratingly trying to get the bolt that plugs the oil drain on my car, as well as the oil filter, I decided I should go out to get the supplies I needed to make my job easier changing the oil. After picking up a quick dinner and the tools I needed to loosen everything, I decided I might as well go shopping for what I needed since there was a store right across the street. At first, I grabbed my essentials. Amazingly, everything was well in stock at the store, and I decided to look through the liquor section to see if they carried my favorite craft beer and see what else they had. While I was looking, a man in his 80s, henceforth known as Man, walked into the area. Man. I can't find the toothpaste. Me. Well, this is the liquor section. Man. I know this is. I think it's down aisle 16, but I'm not sure. At this point, I realize he thinks I work at this store. I am wearing a black tee, black jeans, and a stainless steel watch and necklace, and the staff uniform is khakis and a black polo with the store logo on it. I was about to tell the man that I couldn't help him because I was not an employee, but I decided that I wasn't in a rush, and if he didn't realize I was an employee, he might really need the help. Me. How about I help you find what you need? Man. Yes, thank you. I find the aisle where I believe it is, and I grab him a couple of things of toothpaste, show him what is available, and tell him the prices. After he chooses what he wants, we make our way to the cat food aisle. We went through all the cans of cat food that were available, more options than I thought existed. He would pick up a can and ask me to read it. I would tell him what it said, and I would hold which cans he decided he wanted. After about 10 minutes of this, he has everything he needs, and he mentions he had some coffee stored at a cashier and asked me to take him to the lady that was keeping it for him. Me. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I don't actually work here. I just wanted to help you to make sure you could get what you needed and get out quickly so you weren't around so many people for a long time. After he realizes what happened for the last 10 minutes, we try to find the person who was holding onto his coffee, but he decided to just visit a random cashier. After this, I kept looking through the amazing liquor selections that they had in the store, checked out, and went home to finish working on my car. We did stay 6 feet apart at most times, unless I was reading a label for him, which would be brief. And I don't always help out whoever thinks I work wherever I shop. It happens often, and I do help out most of the time. But the place was busy and there were not a lot of workers, so everyone was busy. If someone needs help, you don't have to be their personal shopper, but it's always nice to help someone find what they're looking for. A little kindness goes a long way. Stay healthy, everyone. And shoutouts to our Regenerals of the day. Kai Fox, Affinity Studios, and Pablo. Become tomorrow's Regenerals by leaving as many reads as you can in the comments below, and please listen to my playlist every night when you go to sleep.